A federal court just made a decision that could wipe out some of the most confusing carry restrictions in the entire country, and the DOJ and multiple states are actually backing it. If you carry a firearm legally, this affects you right now. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed? Because what I'm about to break down could be the difference between carrying with confidence and accidentally crossing a legal line you didn't even know existed. Hit that subscribe button right now. Wait. Okay, let's get into this. For years, gun owners across this country have been dealing with a patchwork of carry laws that make almost no sense. You can carry in one county, drive 20 minutes, and suddenly you're a criminal. No warning, no clear sign. Just a line on a map that turns your legal firearm into a felony. That is the reality millions of law-abiding gun owners have been living with, and it has been that way for a long time. But something just changed. A federal court has issued a decision that directly challenges these inconsistent and confusing carry restrictions. And here is what makes this really significant. The Department of Justice, which is the top federal law enforcement agency in the country, is not fighting it. In fact, multiple states have come forward to support the decision too. That is not normal. That almost never happens. When the DOJ and states line up on the same side as gun owners, you need to pay attention. So what exactly did the court say? Let me break this down in plain English. The court ruled that certain carry restrictions placed on law-abiding citizens were not consistent with the historical tradition of firearm regulation in the United States. Now, if that phrase sounds familiar, it should. That is the exact legal standard the Supreme Court set in the 2022 Bruin decision. The Supreme Court said that any modern gun law has to be compared to the kinds of laws that existed when the Constitution was written. If there is no historical match, the law does not hold up. This federal court used that exact test and found that certain carry restrictions failed it. What kind of restrictions are we talking about? Think about the rules that say you can carry in some public places, but not others, with almost no logical reason behind the difference. Think about the restrictions that vary wildly from one county or city to the next within the same state. Think about the rules that seem designed more to confuse people than to protect anyone. Those are the kinds of restrictions being challenged here, and the court said they do not pass the constitutional test. Now here's the part that most people are not talking about. This is not just one court opinion that will quietly disappear. The fact that the DOJ is backing this, or at least not opposing it, signals something much bigger. It tells you that the federal government's current position is moving in a direction that is more favorable to carry rights. And when states start lining up in support, it creates legal momentum. That momentum can push this all the way up to higher courts, and potentially back to the Supreme Court for a final answer. If you are finding this helpful, imagine what my next video covers. I'm breaking down the 5 words you should always say when law enforcement asks you about your firearm during a traffic stop. Those 5 words could protect you legally, in a way most people never think about. Subscribe right now so you do not miss that one. Let us keep going. Here's what most people get wrong about decisions like this one. They hear about a court ruling, and they think it automatically changes everything overnight. That is not how it works. A federal court decision is important, but it applies directly to the jurisdiction of that court. Other courts in other parts of the country are not immediately bound by it. However, and this is the key point, it creates a legal argument. It creates a precedent that attorneys can use. It creates a framework that other courts will look at when similar cases come before them. So if you are a gun owner in a state that has confusing or restrictive carry rules, this decision gives your attorney something powerful to work with. It does not automatically make your state's laws disappear tomorrow, but it starts the process of challenging them in a serious, legally grounded way. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Let us say you legally own a firearm and you have a carry permit. You drive through a city that has a local ordinance saying you cannot carry within a certain distance of a public park. You did not know about that ordinance because it was never clearly posted, and it does not match your state's general carry laws. Under the old legal environment, you might be out of luck, but under the framework this court just established, that kind of vague, inconsistent local restriction becomes much harder to legally defend. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Every situation is different. Every state has different laws. Always consult a licensed attorney for advice specific to your situation. I say this not to cover myself, but because I genuinely do not want you making decisions about your legal rights based on a YouTube video alone. Use this information to ask better questions, not to replace professional legal guidance. Now let us talk about why the DOJ and states are getting behind this. Hey, real quick. 73% of people watching right now are not subscribed to this channel. Do not be in that group. Join the tens of thousands of gun owners who get these legal updates. First, click subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it could save you from a situation that costs you years. Back to the DOJ and the states. The Department of Justice supporting or not opposing this decision is significant because it reflects the current federal administration's legal posture on carry rights. This does not mean every federal agency is going to stop enforcing every carry restriction immediately. It means that at the highest level of federal legal authority, there's a recognition that the Bruin standard changes the game. Courts have been striking down gun laws across the country since Bruin, and the DOJ is adjusting to that legal reality. The states that are backing this decision are doing so because they see the writing on the wall. Some of them have carry-friendly laws already and want to see a consistent national standard that protects their residents when they travel. Others are responding to legal pressure from cases in their own courts. Either way, when you have states filing briefs in support of expanded carry rights, it creates a political and legal environment where these restrictions become harder and harder to justify. Here's the part that shocked me when I first dug into this. Some of the most confusing carry restrictions that are being challenged were never based on public safety data in the first place. They were based on political decisions made decades ago, in some cases before modern concealed carry even existed as a widespread legal practice. The court is essentially saying that those old political decisions cannot override a constitutional right. That is a huge deal. That is not a small legal footnote. That is a fundamental shift in how courts are being asked to look at your right to carry. Now here's what you need to do with this information. First, know the carry laws in your specific state and every state you travel through. This court decision does not give you a pass to ignore existing laws while the legal process plays out. Laws remain in effect until a court specifically strikes them down in your jurisdiction. Second, if you believe a carry restriction in your area is vague, inconsistent, or potentially unconstitutional under the Bruin standard, talk to a Second Amendment attorney. This decision gives them a strong new tool to work with. Third, stay informed. These legal battles move fast. A decision that favors carry rights can be appealed. New cases get filed every week. The legal landscape is changing and you need to keep up. This information has a shelf life. The legal battles around this decision are moving right now, and things could look very different in the coming months. Subscribe to this channel because my next video covers exactly what gun owners need to do before the next major legal deadline hits. You do not want to find out till you missed a critical window after it closes. Let me bring this home for you. A federal court just ruled that certain confusing carry restrictions do not hold up under the constitutional standard the Supreme Court established. The DOJ is not pushing back, and states are stepping forward in support. That is a combination that creates real legal momentum for gun owners. This does not mean your carry restrictions disappear tomorrow. It means the legal foundation under them is cracking, and that crack is getting wider. Stay legal, stay informed, and please, talk to a real attorney before making any decisions about your carry situation based on this or any other legal development. If this video gave you something useful today, the best thing you can do is hit subscribe and share this with one gun owner you know who needs to hear it. I put real time into researching these updates so you do not have to dig through court.